moving a step, not a step. Me or my fortune that I was born in this city. Do you understand? I'm sick of it.
The country has 18,000 travellers, an estimated 8,000 of them still living on the roadside. Over half of the families have been housed, but increasingly young couples are being forced back onto the streets and the road. Today's conference was organised by the National Association for Travelling Centres. There are now 25 of these centres, training 600 young travellers each year. This morning they came from almost every county in the country to report on the progress which has been made and to draw attention to the continuing problems of discrimination and homelessness.
Yes, I was thrown out of a disco in Gort there once. Just my first time in. He says, no, you're not coming in. And I says, why? Oh, he says, just because you're travelling, he says, you're not coming in. Just put me out. And the same in a pub another time when you find them pool with a southern lad. The lady in there put me out as well. I was never in there before either.
Well, we was living up in Nora and Labby Park. And there was a disco we used to go to last summer, and they barred all the travel signs, and we'd be off and go into town, and they'd say no way itinerants allowed in these shops. We put us out, we want to buy clothes. We'd took them up then to come up for them on us, see do we like them. They'd say no, you're not allowed to put them on, and put us out.
I was often now saying an art care centre or amusement. I haven't got thrown out for no reason at all. Like in case I don't go now, I'd have been for a game of pool or something. And just tell me to go. Our friends with me, if they're travellers, just tell me to go for no reason at all. And there's no use asking why, because they just tell you because you're a traveller.
But John, do travellers create problems, really, in all honesty? Do travellers sometimes cause trouble and make a nuisance of themselves?
Sometimes, all of them are not saints, see. Some of them are good and some of them are okay, do you know what I mean? You won't get all saints around here, only for travellers. It's like anyone else.
I don't think it's very bad in Galway, but there is a certain amount of discrimination. I personally myself have experienced discrimination. I made an appointment to have my hair done, and when I turned up in person, I was told that she doesn't serve my type. And even for asking the right why I was being refused, I mean, she rang the guards for that. I feel as a traveller, we don't even have the right to ask why we're being refused. You know, I just asked that right, I was told I was causing a scene, you know. So, I mean, there is a certain amount of discrimination going on, and until discrimination ends, lives for travellers won't improve. You know, I mean, I think it's one of the worst parts of being a traveller is the discrimination.
The training centres from which the young travellers have come are now located in 25 of the 26 counties. But this year, for the first time, the building programme has ground to a halt because of the lack of funds. The centres are financed by ANCO, the YEA and various vocational education committees. And last year they managed to place over half of their trainees in employment. The woman with overall responsibility nationally is Sister Colette O'Dwyer, who is proud of their achievements but worried by recent anti-traveller outbursts.
Well, there have been a lot of improvements over the last couple of years. A lot of new sites have been built and so on. But what is very worrying is that there are still upwards of 1,300 families who have nowhere to live on the side of the road. And now there's a new element has come in where people are actually prepared to use violence to evict them to nowhere because they're living on the side of the road, and local people not only don't want them on the side of the road, which is perhaps understandable, but they don't even want them to be given sites or anywhere to live in the area. And just this last week, as you probably know, we've had a very unpleasant incident in Dublin. 2 weeks before that, we had a very unpleasant eviction in Dublin. And we have also, as you know, had trouble in Galway. So that there's a kind of extra dimension of hatred and anti-traveller feeling, which is very, very worrying.
Why do you think people are now resorting to actually using firearms to shooting at travellers? Why has the situation deteriorated in this way?
Well, I suppose one answer is that the progress of the provision of authorised sites for them has not been sufficiently speedy. But the other is really quite incomprehensible to me, how anybody who has themselves somewhere to live would get to the point of actually shooting at people who have nowhere to live. I have no explanation for that. I find it absolutely unbelievable, and just pray that it will never happen again.
How hopeful is what is taking place here today, this gathering of young travellers from all over the country?
Yeah, I think that is the sign of hope for the future, because these 500 young people are getting a chance that their parents never had. They're being prepared for life and for employment, if they can get it. And we have had a high success rate of employment from the training centres, which we hope will go on. And these young people are, for the first time, having state money spent on them. Most of them never had school. And they're learning everything that they need to know now in the training centres and preparing themselves to face a better future for themselves and their own families.
The young travellers also speak highly of the value of education in their fight against discrimination.
Why was accepted? I'd no bother thought whatsoever. And we got on great. In fact, the classmates and I are still in contact with each other.
How big a problem is illiteracy for travellers, say, particularly in Ballinasloe, with which you're familiar?
Illiteracy is very bad because most of the people around there don't even read and write, just the ordinary X, and they have no chance of getting a job or going for a better life unless they know what they're up against. And most of them try their best, but without the schooling, it's hopeless.